Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the creator and maker of heaven and earth. Brothers and sisters, we hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. We hope and pray that you all are in good spirits, and thanking you on a human level for subscribing to the channel. And if you didn't do so, please feel it in your heart to do so. Asking you all to comment, and if you like, click like upon it and to share. Brothers and sisters, for those who do know, two things. Recently, a brother was in a hospital, but is now feeling much better, thank the Creator. Also, brothers and sisters, we had started this presentation last night, and due to the lateness of the hour, we decided to end it at a certain time and to pick it up this morning. So for all the people who are joining in, thank you. For all the people who have joined in from last night, thank you, brothers and sisters. To the people who click like, thank you. To the people who subscribe, thank you. And I am open to constructive criticism. So brothers and sisters, we are going to continue in this. Asking you all to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and to take notes. Now, as is the custom, we're going to stop the camera, brothers and sisters. And if I can be heard, and if you are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard, and you are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you, my lady Sarai, in doing so. So, brothers and sisters, without any further ado, let us pull this up. The screen share, if we will. And go here, if we will. And we're going to start in this particular case over here, brothers and sisters. And we hope and pray, as pointed out, that you all are well and will be better. Let us pull up the PowerPoints and continue in this manner. Going to go to slideshow and from current slide. Thank you, my brothers and sisters and my elders. Now, in continuing on in this particular manner, right, in which we see in here, we have the word Pootz and Fuzot. Remembering, brothers and sisters, that Hebrew is read from right to left. So, in said manner, look at the laser pointer. Pootz and Fuzot. The word Pootz means in verb to be dispersed, to be scattered. Now, as we already know, we've been going over the Hebrew in part of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12, which speaks about scattering and gathering and so forth. This is an ayin waw verb in that the waw is the second root letter. The word nafatz, this word means to be scattered or dispersed. So what, brothers and sisters, are we able to gather in this particular case, right, is this. We want to show with the highlighter, right? The noon, the fe, and the zadeh in this particular case, brothers and sisters, right? And then we also have nefuzot. Now, for those noticing between nafatz here on the top here in the yellow, and there, the noon the Fe and the Zadeh stays consistent. The Nun, the Fe and the Zadeh stays consistent. All right. On the left-hand side, the laser point verb. Now, Fatz, as we're pointing out, over here, is the verb in this particular case. The verb is a pay noon verb. Now, a pay noon verb, brothers and sisters, is any verb that has noon as the first letter. What happens in that case, brothers and sisters, is that the noon drops out when you conjugate it inside of the future tense. And as pointed out last night, it comes back inside of the matter of the infinitive. So, brothers and sisters, let us continue in this case. Nifuzot is the plural noun. The word means scattered or dispersed of. Last night we asked, what is a verb? And people typed in correctly by saying a verb indicates action. And we also asked, what is a noun? And it was properly incorrectly answered by saying a noun, brothers and sisters, is a person, a place, or a thing. So with that being the case, we know that nefuzot we see here, right? We're going to circle it for knowledge purposes. Right? With the pen. We have here nefuzot. Now, for those who subscribe, and we asking you to Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lessons. When you go over those lessons in your own time, you will begin to see, say from like lesson 30 on, identifying what is the verb, what is the prefix, the suffix, and the noun in that particular case. So to the people in the chat, much respect to my lady Sarah Michaela. Shalom, my brother Yirmiyahu, and Shalom, Mora Bat Sheba. Anybody else in the chat who has not commented, I don't know if you're there, but feel free to comment. And also, as time goes along, we want to have people go back and forth when we do these kind of lessons and so forth. All right, so send you the link and we can participate in said manner, not just me speaking all the time upon the channel. All right, alone. Now, when we're looking at this nefuzot, right, from the word nafat, the noon, the pay, and the zadeh stays there. This is a feminine word. We asking you to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and take notes. Next slide. Thank you. Get your pens and pads. Now, let's look at this, brothers and sisters. Right? Laser pointer. The Hebrew says, remember in Hebrew always goes from right to left. Okay? And it says what? Yafusu oibayu. Let his enemies be scattered. Now, brothers and sisters, the word Pootz as well as the word nafat, both of them mean to be scattered or dispersed. So sometimes in Hebrew, you'll find it whether with the noon as the root word in nafat, or sometimes just the matter of the iron wild verb. And remember, an iron wild verb, as pointed out here on the left-hand side in the second paragraph, an iron wild verb is a verb that has wild as the second root letter, as in the word Pootz. All right, so let's look. Right now, do they get the word putz from Pootz in English? I don't know. But brothers and sisters, looking at it in this particular case, right? Yafusu oibayu, let his enemies be scattered. Yafusu oibayu. Now, let's look. with the laser pointer and the time allotted, right? With the pen, should I say, sorry. That bet that you see there with the Qabatz, followed by the yod, where it's just underlined, and that wow. That's how you get the Iowa sound. That's how you get that Iowa sound. You'll see that in lesson 31 or Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lessons and so forth when we start saying his brother and his brothers and so forth, and her brothers and so forth and so on. All right. So for edification purposes, Yafutz, Yafuzu, they will be scattered. Now, what do we notice, brothers and sisters, we want to show with the highlighter? This has the zoop sound at that. And that's what we're seeing here being highlighted. So what can we gather, as pointed out last night upon this particular channel? That the yod in the beginning, remember in Hebrew going from right to left, the yod in the beginning signifies the third person masculine singular. Now, the third person masculine plural is shown as the prefix with the word zu, or in this case, just u. So it'd be yakumu, ya'asu, whatever u sound at the end when dealing with verbs we're talking about is what we're speaking upon. We're going to do a lesson upon that as the time goes along. Are there any questions concerning what we're talking about? And I want to say sidebar, my breakfast was a yogurt with strawberries and berries and an apple and blackberries and blueberries. And I feel more energetic than, say, if I would have ate a turkey sandwich with the gluten in the bread and so forth. Did you know, Israel, that the offerings the people supposed to make is without leaven when they bring it to the priest? In Leviticus, the priests of Israel don't eat a lot of leaven because the bread that's offered to them in Leviticus is made without leaven. That's why in the book of Amos, when Israel brought leavened bread as an offering outside of the time of the Feast of Weeks, that's the only time, correct me if I'm wrong, in Torah, you're told to bring leaven. Any other time when you're bringing up an offering, that is without leaven when you read Leviticus. Because gluten, not to be a health conscious person on a Hebrew channel per se, sits in your colon and it slows you down. The priest got to be able to pick up and move. Heaven forbid somebody got leprosy. You got to go and see that person. You can't do that with gluten sitting in your colon like that. So again, the priests of ancient Israel ate more unleavened bread than bread. And it's in Leviticus. See the health consciousness? Now let's bring it to Hebrew. How to say create? Anybody? How do you say create in Hebrew? The verb. And people who are parents, don't fear to type in something if you're not even sure, because nobody's penalizing nobody. And why do I say if you're a parent? You have children in many cases and they fall as a baby and they get right back up like ain't nothing happened. But with adults, sometimes it's like, I don't want to be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's something wrong with wanting to stay wrong. So we're asking in verb context while we talk about this, right? Yes, thank you, my brother. The word bara means to create. It's an lamed aleph verb. Now, how do you say healthy in Hebrew? The Hebrew word for healthy is what? Litzor. Thank you for that, my love. Sarai. Toda mora bat sheba for bara. Now, I'm going to expound upon real quick because my lady typed in the word lizor in regards with creating. That means that, but the particular word that I was looking for to show the connection is the word bara. All right. So that's what I mean. All of the answers there are correct. Bara means to create. And the word for healthy is bari. See the connection? So And your healthiness is from its creation because you were born healthy. That's why so many sick people want to take babies' organs and baby's blood and all of this because they know it's pure and so forth and so on. But just wanted to point that out, brothers and sisters, that in Hebraic thought, in the Torah, the priests are given, brothers and sisters, what? Unleavened bread. And when they were given leaven, the people were rebuked for it. So let's go on, brothers and sisters. We have seen here. Oh, I want to point that out with the word that my lady typed in, Yitzor. Litzor is what she typed in, right? That comes from the word Yazor. And I want to, in respect, brothers and sisters, take out the time to type something in, if I may. Right? Go here. New slide. All right. Now, I want to show this in real time as much as possible, if I may. All right. In this particular case, let me know how it's looking. Thank you for that. Brothers and sisters. All right. In that particular case, the word, my lady, typed literally means to form. I just want to put that in there. All right. That word you see there in the screen, typed in by my lady Sarai, literally means to form. So if you're creating something, yes, you are causing something to be formed. So both answers were correct. I just want to emphasize, thank you for that for time purposes, if we may. So let's go back to the slideshow, if we will. Start from the current slide, right? All right. Again, if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to type that in such. All right. Let's continue, family. Thank you all for that. We're going to start from the current slide. And let's go. Okay, now, none of the answers were incorrect. What we see here, looking at the laser pointer, right? Yafutz singular, he will be scattered. Yafuzu, they will be scattered. All right. If there's any questions or comments, please, again, feel free to type it in. And due to everything that just happened, I'm going to ask, and I don't mean to ask quote too much, if I can be heard well, and if you're in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. Now, the next one we see here is Tifuzena. Tifuzena. They will be scattered, feminine. We already know, thank you, my love, Sarah, for typing that in. We already know that they is plural. So Yafusu, they will be scattered, is masculine plural. Thank you, my brother Yirmiyahu. And Tifuzena is they will be scattered, feminine. So if you got 8 females and 4 males, 12 people, 4 of them being males, and you're saying they will be scattered, you would use the word Yafuzu. If you're saying there's 12 people, 4 of them being males, and you were to say Tefuzena, you're not speaking about the males. So what am I saying? If it's a mixed company, the masculine takes the dominance in that particular case. Thank you, Mazitia, for typing that in, and thank you, Morabasheba, for typing that in. All right. So I just want to point that out with the grammar and the gender in Hebraic thought. There is no Hebrew word for trans G. They don't want us to say certain words on the internet without your channel getting flagged before they start saying you're a bigot, which is ridiculous. So much for the freedom of speech, huh? But brothers and sisters, Yafutz, he will be scattered. Yafuzu, they will be scattered. Tisufena, they will be scattered when speaking of only females. Puzai, my dispersed, my scattered. Now remember last night, when we can go back if we will, right? Remember we went over this word here we want to highlight? Thank you for that, family. Kasidai. And we were saying it means my saints, my pious ones, my remnant, and so forth. From the word kesed, which means righteousness, which means mercy, and so forth. Kasidai. Remember how we get the I is by that dalet having a Qabatz followed by the yod in Hebrew. That's why we say, please get your pens, your pads, your paper, and to take notes. And always remember, Hebrew is easy, not difficult. All right? So when we see here, brothers and sisters, putzai, that's how you still get that I sound. Now, that word putzai is in the scripture that Israelites been reciting for decades in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 10. My dispersed from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Now, me and my lady, we've been on the Nile River over a year ago that leads from Ethiopia in one part and leads, correct me if I'm wrong, from Kenya or Uganda in the other part with the white and blue Nile. And then they come together in like the Sudan, and then it flows up. When we were in the Nile or on the Nile, it was a beautiful experience. We have to remember the way of the Most High. While the Egyptians were hearing there's going to be a deliverer among the Habiru people. Let's kill the Hebrews. Let's throw them in the river. Let's kill the Hebrews. Meanwhile, in that same river, floated on a human level, their deliverer, Moshe. And so I advise people to travel. Go. The Tanakh talks about if you want a long journey. Don't be a hermit and just stay in for the rest of your life. We're not talking about having to stay in. We're talking about choosing to stay in. There's a world out there to see, brothers and sisters. And we have our home in the land of the East. When we was on the Nile, it was on two different occasions. One was called the Angia and the other one was called the Faruka. And I ain't gonna lie. That man who was on the Faruka was a professional. He fell down and everything, got right back up like a baby, like it is what it is. You understand? They say there's no crocodiles, but we're not convinced. Not to sound like the cartoon crocodile. I'm not convinced that you have no crocodiles in there because the Nile was known for its crocodiles. That's one of the Egyptian gods, by the way. They worship the work that the Most High made instead of the Most High himself in many cases. Being on the river that Moses was on is almost nothing like it on earth. And knowing that particular history, the Nile River is the longest river in the world. The best coffee on earth comes out of Ethiopia. Rubber comes out of Africa. Steel and minerals come out of Africa. Do you get where I'm coming from? And do you know one of the things that the land of Israel has what they call a natural crop in? For those who may know, do you know what it is? Believe it or not. It's something, and I say in no disrespect, that people in my family indulge in. And I used to see them indulge in. The land of Israel is known for its beer. That's one of the things in that particular case. But the land of Israel now is dealing with keeping its Sabbath and so forth. So, brothers and sisters, getting back into this particular case here, my dispersed or my scattered, putzai. So we just want to point out how you get the I sound as in Achai, my brothers, or Adonai in relation with the Most High. Now, this is the word I just dealt with, the word litzor. The word my lady Sarai type literally means to form. So yes, it also means to create, okay? Have questions or comments, type in the chat. In the he field, this word, we see it as hey Pete's. Now, what word we talking about, brothers and sisters? This word, Pootz. All right. In the he field form, the hey, we're going to highlight what the hey is right here, if we will, right? The hey I refer to when I used to teach Hebrew in the congregation is the thumb of the Hebrew alphabet. Without the letter hey, Hebrew, hate to have to say it, is worthless. It has no beginning. It has no prefixes. It has no structure in verbs. You can't ask a question without it. So the letter hey is the thumb. As your hand needs its thumb, so does Hebrew need the letter hey. All right. So just want to point that out for reference purposes, if we will. This means he scattered or caused to be dispersed. Right? Highlighter. No, laser pointer. Yapitz. He will scatter. Lahapitz. To scatter, to cause to be dispersed. Now, remember last night, brothers and sisters, we kept talking about the significance of this lamed serving as a prefix. We spoke upon something called the bakalam. Bakalam. Ba means, in this case, in. I'm going to write this in the chat, if we will. Right? Let me exit this real quick so I can type it in that particular portion. All right. Drop this down for the moment. And looking at this. Ba, in, or with. All right. Ka, ka. All right. La, two, or four. Okay. Now we say bakalam, but we don't say bakalama. But ma is of or from. And that becomes important later if we do another lesson about love in Hebrew. So I just wanted to, and I'm going to pull the PowerPoint back up, if we will, brothers and sisters. But when we speak upon, all right, from current slide, the ma meaning of or from, the la meaning to or for, ka meaning like or as, and bakalam. So when we see this lamed here, brothers and sisters, and we want to highlight it with the yellow, right? Now, hapitz and root meaning to scatter or disperse. So therefore, lahapitz is the infinitive. That's when you get that case there. If there's any questions concerning this, please feel free to type it in the chat. All right, let's continue on. Maypitz and hepitzuhu. The word maypitz. Maypitz, the word means disperser or scatterer. As noted, when the mem is in the word, in many cases, it's a noun. All right. In many cases, when mem is in the beginning, it's a noun. This will be discussed later in the presentation. The word hepitzuhu. We have here, brothers and sisters. I want to show with the laser pointer and go over it meticulous as possible. He, Peets, Zu, Hu. Meaning they scattered or they dispersed him or it. The Zu part is the plural of the word Hepitz. Don't think so? Remember when we went over here and Yaputzu, that U sound that you see there at the end shows it to be plural. Similar in this case. The Hu is the suffix of him or it. So let's color code this as we put it in highlight form. All right, the Hu we see here. We see here. And brothers and sisters, it means in this case him or it. Now, when we're going to go to the highlight in the green, just to show the color distinction, the Zu part here, we see here as well. And we see here as well. And we see here, this is being color coded. All right. So if there's any questions, please feel free to type it in. Thank you for that. Let's go on. Hapizotika. Now, brothers and sisters, when we are asking you all to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and take notes, this is part of the reason why. This word, hapizotika, means I scattered or I dispersed you. The ka at the end, which we see right here being underlined, shows the pronoun you being underlined from the word otka. Now, there's two different forms of pronouns. Most times when you ask Israelites, how do you say you in Hebrew to a male? It's ata. That's in the beginning. But then there's object pronouns. Me, you, him, her, us, and them. So when we say otka, if you were to, not plain salesman on the Shabbat, get the Hebrew book, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 2. This is expounded upon as object pronouns. All right? What time do you put what when? Is it ata or otka? And in this case, it's the otka. That's why you just have that ka as a suffix in that case. The T shows, go with a laser pointer. The T shows that the verb to it is the first person masculine or feminine past tense. So this T we're going to show inside of a different highlight color so we can see it and grasp onto it. The way I try to go over this, giving honor to the Most High, is so a brother or sister can take this to college where you get more credits for Hebrew in Brooklyn College, for instance, than say Spanish or say English or say other subjects. They give you more credits for a Hebrew class. You can take this to a college professor, but like, yeah. And I say this in no disrespect. Very rarely I ask for donations. Ever so often I speak about the book a brother wrote. Because something my baby sister put me on to. Not being funny. People get turned off when you keep asking for donations. Especially if you're asking for a certain amount. No. And my baby sister, I don't know if she watches this or not. But yeah. So family, brothers and sisters, thank you all for joining in. I see more people inside of the chat, at least through the numbers. Appreciate it. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be on this platform and channel. And please feel free to comment, questions, even complaints, because I'm open to constructive criticism. Let's go on. The root, in this case, in the he feel is hey Pete's, meaning he scattered. So we want to show the T part in the yellow there. The T part in the yellow here. And the T part in the yellow there. Remember some weeks ago, we said Ani stands for I, or I am, whether masculine or feminine. So if you were to say, hey, pizoti, that's a man or woman saying it, a male or female saying it. All right? Any comments or questions, please feel free to type it into the chat. Now, brothers and sisters, Qabatz, to assemble, to add or gather, which they say is a synonym to the word asaf, which we went over last night. Thank you all for joining in. Let's go to the laser pointer, if we will. Qabatz. This in a qual stem is treated as a regular verb. Now, regular verb, meaning it is not a lamed hey verb, a lamed aleph verb, a lamed ayin verb, a pei nun verb, a pei aleph verb, a pei yod verb, an ayin wow verb, an ayin yod verb, or an ayin verb. Now, again, not playing salesman on the Shabbat, all of these different forms of verbs, which is deemed as irregular, the lamed hey, the ayin, the pei yod, and so forth, right, is discussed in Hebrew is Easy, Volume 3. All right? So, just want to point that out for reference purposes. Now, let's look, if we will, family. Qabatz, he added. Yukbatz, he will add. While yukbots, and he added. Quipzu, gather or add. Qabatz, gathering, present tense. Quizubim, gathered, past participle. So, brothers and sisters, let us look at this, if we will, right? And expound upon this for edification purposes, right? We're going to copy, and I want to show this in much real time as possible. That's why I did it as such. New slide, layout, as such. Right? Qabatz. And here we have what? Boats. We'll notice that Kuf, that bet, and that Zadeh stays in here. You might have noticed in this lesson, I use the letter Zadeh quite often more than I usually do, but that's the way the word is. All right? Wayik, boats. All right? Quib, two. And I want to emphasize that because that's the command form. Present tense, gathering. And past participle. Queer, do, being. So let's look, brothers and sisters, and start the slideshow with this now added in and explain what we're talking about, family. Right? Get your pens, your pads, and take notes. Qabatz, he added. Yukbatz, he will add. Wayikbots, and he added. Now we're going to highlight, if we will, brothers and sisters. Now, mind you, you might find this as yukbots or yukbots, so don't let that trip you up. Now let's just look at this word that's all highlighted in here. And we see, and he added. Remember some time ago, we went over what's referred to as the wild consecutive, also called the wild hakipuk. In biblical Hebrew, let's look. You got what? Brothers and sisters, the laser pointer. You got the yod, the kuf, the bet, the zadeh, sofi. Yod, bet. Yod, kuf, bet, zadeh. Then you got this wow, Yod Kuf Bet Zadeh. That wow in the beginning, where you see it highlighted in the yellow, changes that future tense word into the past tense. That's biblical Hebrew. This is why we're saying get your pens, your pads, your paper, and take notes. All right? Your pens, your pad, and your paper, and take notes. Any questions, please feel free to type it into the chat. So Yukbots, he will add. You would think Wayikbots or Wayikbots means and he will add. But no, it means and he added. Because it changes the future to the past and the past to the future. In biblical Hebrew, by having the verb either in the past or future tense, prefixed by the wow, meaning and. Wa or wa. It's connected to the verb. And he this, and she that. In Hebrew, and is separate from the verb and the pronoun. In Hebrew, and is attached to the pronoun and the verb. So this is something we want to point out. Here we see under that quibzu from Qabatz. Gather, assemble, add. It's a command form. So if you got children and you're telling them to gather together, you would say quibzu. Kind of sound like that in a command form, don't it? Okay. Let's go on and close out. Qabatz, gathering. Ani Qabatz. Ata Qabatz. Who Qabatz. So for the female, it will be Ani Qabatz. For the female, it will be Ani Qabatzet. He Qabatzet. At Qabatzet. This is why we're asking you all to subscribe to the channel, because we went over this and we'll go over the same thing in the future for understanding purposes. Now, gathered, past participle. They are gathered. Hem quizubim, something that's already there. So let's say if I got 4 children and I'm saying quizu, gather, assemble, and somebody else is saying what? Hem quizubim, they are gathered. That means that they were gathered after or before I gave that command form. That is called past participle. Hash'ela sha'ul. The question is asked. Sad example, but in Ezekiel, when it said, actually, not the saddest example, breathe upon these slain of the dry bones. Harugim, the slain ones. Quibuzim, the gathered ones. That's called past participle. And for those inclined to Hebrew, you can use that in a qual stem or the nifal stem. Serves in the same purpose, but we'll explain upon that in a future book. Now let's close out with the last ones here. Let the book speak and close this out, because it's the last slides, all right? That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the peoples, whither the Lord thy God has scattered thee. Washab yod he Elohecha et shebutka waricha mecha washab waquibetzka mekol ha'amin asher hepitzka yod he Elohecha shama. So let's look. Remember, we were talking these words, brothers and sisters. We want to show with the highlighter, color-coded, scattered. Hey, Pete's. Remember we went over that word? Remember? It's over here. Hey, Pete's. Oh, went too far. Hey, Pete's. This is the one right here. Just want to show that we went over. And we see it in the Bible. That in the book speak for itself in Deuteronomy chapter 30. That's our solution, black man, woman, and child in the Americas. And everywhere else on earth. One salvation, keep them laws of the Most High. I ain't gonna get too personal, but you know when the Most High is getting at you. You know it. Accept that sign. Don't harden your heart. I'm gonna go against Yah. You don't want to meet him being his enemy, doing something you shouldn't be doing. Oh, there's nothing on the other side. No, that's why the Torah, the living book, says don't go and conjure that up, because there's nothing there. The Torah ain't going to tell you not to go somewhere if it don't exist. It didn't say that those secret arts don't exist. It just said Israel, that's the dark side of wisdom. You don't belong there. It don't mean it don't exist. And everyone who I know who did some seance or something of that nature, it didn't turn out good. That's why we got to appreciate those when they're here. I had 24 years with my imam. It's been almost 20 years without. Appreciate the time that you have with him or her. Cherish that time. You understand? But brothers and sisters, getting back into this portion here in the book of Deuteronomy, you see hate peace there, right? So we just want to point that out for edification purposes. And we're going to color code some things we didn't go over just for reasonable purposes. Let's use the blue, right? Compassion. You know, David said, deliver me in your hand, O Yah, and not in the hand of man, because man have no mercy, right? When the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion. Rakam. We say in prayers, Il Rakum wa Kanun, Erekapayim wa Rab Kesed. Rakum means mercy or merciful one. We want that. Merciful, long suffering. But his mercy endures forever, but not on the same person. Stop playing with the Most High. His mercy endures forever. Eventually, his mercy runs out on the individual. Don't think so? Look at the 12 tribes of Israel. You got 18 charts around. I told you I'm going to take you and take this heritage from you. So you got 18 charts floating around. People on there who may or may not need to be on there. People saying they Israel when they're not. Israel who truly Israel not saying it because it's going to be in the Most High's time. Let's look. Not being funny. Yahweh, Yahovah, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh. Among other pronunciations. Until you get it right, and I'll let you know how to pronounce my name, Israel, your thing is just to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All the Hebrew of Brother Jobs, you know I cannot say I know for certain how to pronounce the holy name. Well, you can look at this verb, and you can look at that. The Most High transcends your book knowledge. I say that again. The Most High transcends your book knowledge. He transcends your PowerPoint and transcends your YouTube and StreamYard. He will let us know how to pronounce his name. Until then, you're going to find Israelites still saying Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Yahovah, and so forth. We all know who we're talking about. But there ain't been a Hebrew teacher yet that can go on and say that this is the pronunciation of the holy name. We know in artifacts we see from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. We know in the silver scrolls dated from the time of Jeremiah and Josiah, the Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. We know in other records, like in what they call Numbers chapter 6, found in the land of Israel, on parchment, the Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh is there. So we know those 4 letters are there. But as far as this pronunciation, you can take your Hebrew class and go somewhere else. Because the Most High cannot be put on your YouTube. Know when to fall back and say, you know what? That's something, like David said, that knowledge is too deep for me. I cannot attain to it. Anybody saying they know that holy name in pronunciation, 9 times out of 9 is incorrect. Yah himself stated he will let us know. And that is after we get back home. It's in Ezekiel chapter 39. Verse 7, I will make my holy name known among my people Israel. So we know its spelling, but its pronunciation, we must say we do not know how to say correctly, in due respect. So brothers and sisters, now getting back into this, right? So compassion comes from the word in Hebrew, rakam and root. All right. And with the time allotted, just wanted to point that out. If any of thine that are dispersed be in the uttermost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. Excuse me. So let's color code that. Im yih nidakaka bikse hashamayim. Misham yuk pardon me. Misham yuk Qabatz ka yod he wahe Eloheka. Umisham yuk kwacheka. So we highlighting in the blue gather. Now, where do we see that word Qabatz ka in root? Qabatz, to gather, to add, to assemble. We went over that. So we see it right there, right? As we close out. And we see it in the Bible, letting the book speak for itself, and root that kuf, that bet, and that zadeh. That kasofit you see at the end, right? We're going to circle that part with the red. That kasofit you see, brothers and sisters, right? Means you. And we went over that from the word otka. We're going to go over these lessons again and so forth with the pronouns, right? And we are going to show as we close out. Thank you for the time, family. I definitely appreciate it. In the yellow, highlight in the yellow, if we will. Thank you for that, brothers and sisters. Right? Dispersed. And we see the root here, Nadach. That's part of the name of the lesson, Nadach and Pootz. Shalom, warrior of Yisrael. So where do we see Nadach, if not in the beginning of this presentation? Nadach, to impel. Nadach. Nadach. We see right here, right? To impel or compel or to thrust. Now, when we letting the book speak and showing it where it's at in the Bible in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 4, we see that noon, that dalet, and that ket gets it yet again. All right? Nadach. Dispersed. Next slide, family. Now, let's look, and this is done on purpose as so for a reason. Yep, that's it. Just want to make sure. Now, there was a big storm yesterday in New York. And I'm told, not only if I'm not getting too personal, from my sister and from Mora Bat Sheba, that there was a big storm in the state of Tennessee. It was confirmed. So I decided it was a good idea to go over vocabulary because people have been talking about the storm, and New York had a very big storm yesterday morning. So let's look at the right-hand side. Rain. The word for rain is matar. The word for lightning is lafid. The word for thunder is quol. Does anybody else know what the word quol means? The word for storm is sa'ara. The word for snow is sheleg. And the word for wind is ruach. Well, what else does quol mean? Anybody? And what else does ruach mean? Anybody? So let us in real time, all right, get into this. Matar, right, in that case. Feed. All right. Quol. Ara. And yes, it does snow in the land of Israel in the northern part as you go toward Lebanon. And Ruach. Now, as we already know, the word Ruach means wind, also means spirit. Now let's look, and this is what we want to point out. And I say this in no disrespect. What else does the word quol mean? It does not mean all. Kol means all. Quol with the Q sound, besides thunder, means voice. The thunder in Hebraic thought is the voice of who? You see that in Exodus. All right? So just want to point that out. All right, so we're going to go back here to the slideshow from the current slide. But just want to point that out. Kol is all. Quol with the Q sound is voice or thunder. Thunder in Hebrew is also the word ra'am. Ra'am as well. But in Exodus, when it speaks about the thunder in Exodus 20, it uses the word that's also translated for voice. Sa'ara, ruach sa'ara, ose debaro. What did I just say? Ruach sa'ara, ose debaro. We say it in Psalms. Ruach sa'ara is storm, right? And ruach is spirit or wind. The spirit of the storm, ose debaro. Ose, sound African, huh? Not trying to be funny. Means doing or making. Dabar, word. Debaro, his word. Ruach sa'ara, ose debaro. Stormy winds fulfilling his word. It's right in the book of Psalms. So the tsunamis and these things in his army, wade in the water kind of thing, that's the Most High speaking. Hey. In Hebraic thought, the thunder is the voice of the Most High. See, in Greek thought, they got a God for this and a God for that. In Hebrew, the Most High God is the God of everything. So we just want to point that out. Storm is Sa'ara. It's a feminine word. Do you know how to say whirlwind, what they call tornado in Hebrew? It's in the book of Jeremiah. The word for that, I'm going to type it in the chat. Sufa. Sufa. Al-Rosharesha. The whirlwind. Al on Rosh head Haresha the wicked. A whirlwind shall whirl upon the head of the wicked in Jeremiah. So when we say Yah Zibaot, the Lord of hosts, you don't want his host or his army to be against you. I remember one night in Rochester in Queens. Wow, Yeshaya, you're a big dude. Some people say that. And I almost fell from the wind. I remember being on the airplane. Well, due to turbulence, we apologize. We're not able to sit there and serve things because of the danger of the turbulence. Because that wind was attacking in the skies. You don't want the army of the Most High to be against you. You don't want to die being an enemy of the Most High. You don't want to be caught out there doing something you shouldn't be doing, wrong time, wrong place, and so forth. You understand? Shaleg, snow. That's part of his army. It could be very annoying. Snow can be very annoying to some. And we have wind. You need that. So let's look on the right-hand side. Chimney. Right? In real time. Remember, this is the last slide, and then we're going to close out. Thank you for joining in, family. We know we had to postpone it for reasons, and then You all are helping us in that particular case. Chimney is ma ashena. Ma ashena. Key is mafteak, from the word patak, meaning to open. Speaker, medaber. So we're going to go from current slide and just look at that on the left-hand side. Ashan in Hebrew, which some say the Ashanti get their name from, but that's another subject. In Hebrew, the word Ashan means to smoke. So remember, brothers and sisters, this here, right, may peace. As pointed out or noted, when the mem is the word, in many cases, it makes it a noun. So these are nouns that we're seeing on the left-hand side, right? A chimney, ma'ashena, from the word ashan. But that na in ma'ashena makes it feminine. Anything in Hebraic thought that is entered into is a feminine principle. A boat is feminine. A house is feminine. You understand? Ki, mafteak, from the word fatak or patak, which means to open. By putting the mem in front of that word patak, you get mafteak, which means the object of opening, aka a key. Daber, to speak. Midaber, that prefix of the mem again, makes it from speak to speaker. So, family, I left kitchen empty on purpose. Who in the chat knows, whether typing it in Hebrew or typing in English letters, how to say kitchen in Hebrew? It's a part of your house. And we're going to see how Hebrew is easy. And I promise you, we're going to close out after that. All right? I thank you all for the time, for your patience working with me, and for the people who prayed to the Most High God on my behalf when I was sick. And any other time, I appreciate, and you are in my prayers too, brothers and sisters. How do you say kitchen in Hebrew? Anybody? We already went over these words here, so we're just going to exit that part out, right? Kitchen, anybody? I'm going to look at both channels, and let's see if, oh, that's not on that. Did anybody get the word kitchen? All right, so let's do this and close out. Kitchen in Hebrew is mitbach. That's how you say kitchen in Hebrew. Now, what we're going to do, family, all right, with the time allotted and so forth, is go here in real time as much as possible. Thank you for the time, brothers and sisters. Right? And we're going to look this up. Mitbach is how you say kitchen. In this particular manner. So the mem, and we're going to copy and paste. We have, brothers and sisters, and we have hey, where's our friend the bet? Oh, here we go. And we got Ket. And let's see if my hypothesis is right. When we translate this, does it say kitchen? Yay! It shows. So let's look at this, brothers and sisters, right? Mitbach, kitchen. Kind of knew that word from when I was a youngster, but we're going to show this, giving honor to the Most High. Remember, Hebrew is easy, family. All right? And many of us spend time in the kitchen, either cooking or eating out of it. I just wish, young brothers and sisters, if you under 20, you still got your mother and father, don't make the mistake I made and not learn how to cook. Because when your lady got to cook for you because you can't, yeah, she love you and do it. Or you got to ask your sister when you were single, sister, you cook, how you make this? Sister, I don't know if this fish is clean. What do you think? You can't see the fins and scales? No, what are scales? Like, wow, you really didn't pay attention. No, I was just there eating the food. Glutton, Qabatz, greedy. That's the Hebrew word for such. Can I just eat and play? But when you get older, you realize that it ain't just about playing. But let's get into this and close out. So we're going to look at this, brothers and sisters, and enlarge it, right? And we're going to go to the current slide. Mitzbach means kitchen. It comes from the word tabak. Tabak means to slay. Because in the place of slaughtering, in a place of slaying, is in the kitchen. That's where you slaughter your meat. That's where you do those things. So in the place of slaughtering, tabak being the slaughterhouse, or that and slaughter in the verb, by the prefix of that mem, it turns to a noun. Thus you get the word kitchen. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. Tabak means to slaughter, and zabak means to sacrifice. Just want to point that out. But yeah, tabak means to slaughter. So by putting the mem there, is how you get that letter or that word for kitchen. Just want to show you live how easy Hebrew is. Hebrew is not difficult, brothers and sisters. People may be difficult. Hebrew is not. So just want to point that out. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody is well. Time now in the East Coast is 20 minutes to 1 p.m. You could be anywhere, but you are on this channel participating. Hoping everybody is well and will be better. Subscribe to the channel and share, brothers and sisters. And as we close out, we want to let the family know the sun is going down later due to the summertime and so. And I'm kind of backed up on presentations. I'm going to do 2 more today. But no, I'm going to do just 1 more. So check in at 6 or 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. 6 or 6:30 p.m. for a Hebrew, pardon me, we got the Hebrew lesson already. For a history lesson for those who are interested. 6 or 6:30 p.m. The channels, the Torah lessons, Mordei Shaya history lessons. Subscribe to the channel. Most High bless you all. Have a good Shabbat and good weekend. Shalom.